Hey, Nique.
Hey Chantaye, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? How are you?
I'm
How are
doing
you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's been a very eventful day.
What made your day so eventful?
I mean, I had great business meetings and then a little just parenting woes, but we're pushing. We're
We're
pushing through.
pushing. We are pushing through. I understand. I went to Rotary Club, and Gregory's been quiet all day. He's
Until now,
been
right?
building tents and everything else, and now he's on 150. But we're gonna get this taken care of since we have a big brother in the house. And while I get that handled, can you start talking about the topic of when is it like when is it actually an act of terrorism and not mental health? When is it that these people are just killing brown and black people and it's not mental health, it's actually terrorism? Like, help me out, sister.
It's very interesting to me because I think in even in the sense of it being mental health, like obviously there is a mental disability with the people in order for them to commit such insane acts. There has to be that lack of humanity is not natural. It's not, it's not common. So there is obviously a mental disability attached to it, but I feel like the consequences that come with it have to be different. We have to call it what it is. We have to call it what it is because if I mean people have mental breaks on a daily basis and don't murder tens of people, there has to be a sense of accountability for one, because I think it kind of gives people an out who just can't control their emotions and can't control the behavior and act out that way. Now it gives them this out to be able to say, oh, I had a psychotic break. And although I trust you did, I don't feel that you might have done what you could have to control it, because you have that out. You know what I mean?
So I don't know, as a person who's had a psychotic break twice in my life, when you have it, you really can't control it.
Control.
But the
Okay.
thing is, yeah, there's no control there because it's like if you could, you wouldn't be sleeping outside. If you could, you wouldn't be going to jail. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Like you are all the way powerless
So
because
would you
you're in a
say
different world.
would you say that maybe it gives people, so say you have those existing thoughts or those lingering thoughts, or you start to realize that you have this problem, right? M- I'm thinking, as far as that, maybe it's kind of giving people this thing to where it's okay not to heal. It's okay to act out. It's okay to be able to do that, because at the end of the day you have a stigma to rely on, or
Not at
like
all. Not at
what's
all. Because,
happening.
well, the thing is, it doesn't give you an out because you can't control it. You don't even recognize that you're not in the normal state of being or state of mind or state of reality. You're not present. So to to say it's giving you an out, you don't even know that you need an out, let alone that you're taking an out. So that's one thing there. And then when it comes to the break, like it's usually not so premeditated, which is what I'm leaning to.
Right.
Like
Okay. So
the
maybe they're
gentleman,
not breaks at all.
correct, correct. So it's a difference between having a break and having a disconnect from reality. Like in Buffalo, that guy had posted a manifesto like 9 days before
Yeah.
of everyone that of his intentions. That was
And apparently,
premeditated, and they
and
gave him the
apparently
out of
this
mental
guy
illness.
too.
Well, this guy called his friend. It was the same day. He actually went, you know what? I have a video that's not as graphic as Buffalo.
We're
But let me see if I can
keeping
get
it
this
light.
video.
As light as America allows.
Go for it. Keep chatting while I pull up this video.
But yeah, I was thinking, because this guy, from what I heard, it was saying that, he had posted some kind of racy things on social media about him having firearms and kind of bragging about what he was going to do with them. So I'm thinking, like, I don't know, for people, it's like what I'm having a problem with is the fact that the clues are always there. Like we're always able to go back in retrospect and say, hey, a month ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 days ago, they said this on a national or international platform, and no one took it serious, or no one, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, because they say that that's the whole reason for the Patriot Act, right? Isn't the Patriot Act supposedly like the Patriot Act is giving the government the ability to basically, what am I trying to say? The word. Basically, we don't have any privacy because
That was
when it comes
passed.
to
Yeah.
a matter of national security. So wasn't that the reason why it went through, was to give them the ability to monitor stuff like this, so posts like that, so stuff like this doesn't happen.
So that happened during the Bush administration, which people don't even realize that the Bush family owns all of these privatized prisons, which lock people up, especially brown and black people, for having rap lyrics that talk about killing people. That's all it takes, and your little black behind sitting in prison. So it's like, why was this man, he was actually, I think he was Hispanic, why was he allowed to fly under the radar? Because what he did, he bought a gun right after his birthday. And then the day of, like, he murdered, well, he didn't murder her because she's in critical condition, but he shot his grandmother in the head. And then he went to the school and shot the school up and murdered 19 kids, 19 third and fourth graders. So I'm going to play a video right now. Let's see. Hold on. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Is this it? Hold on, this may not be it. Hold on, that's not it. My apologies, I played the wrong video. It skipped. Well, that was the governor talking about the school shooting, but I actually had a video with the families. It didn't show too graphic.
You said it's not allowing you to play it because it's too graphic?
No, it did not show anything that graphic. I'm looking. Okay, here we go. Is this it?
Good evening. 19 little children.
Okay, I found it. It's on Facebook. Hold on. Okay, what is going on? Why is my screen blank? Hit mute.
Good evening. 19 little children won't be coming home from primary school tonight, shot and killed inside their classroom in Texas. 2 of their teachers dying while trying to protect them. The massacre carried out by a local teenager, sparking an outpouring of rage and disbelief that more innocent lives have been lost, while seemingly nothing is being done about gun violence in America.
Panicked parents run towards Robb Elementary School. Terrified and desperate.
10. My name is McKenna.
How long you been looking for her today?
Since it happened,
What are you worried about right now?
she may not be alive.
They're dying as I guess they're working on them. I'm just praying that my little one is okay.
These are the little ones who have lost their lives. This girl named on the class honour roll earlier today, tonight, her parents are in mourning.
Just confused and worried when I'm trying to find out where my baby's at.
And two teachers, Eva Morales, who had worked for the school district for 17 years, and Irma Garcia, both died trying to protect their students.
When parents drop their kids off at school, they have every expectation to know that they're going to be able to pick their child up when that school day ends.
Moments before the horror began, the gunman can be seen here stalking the school building. 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, a local high school student, he regularly posted photos of guns on social media, recently tagging a stranger and hinting that he had a secret.
There was some social media interaction, some threats that, kids should watch out.
Officials say he bought 2 assault rifles for his 18th birthday. Earlier in the day, Ramos shot his grandmother. She was airlifted to hospital. He then drove to the school, crashing his pickup truck.
He abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle.
Carrying out his massacre inside a classroom. Border Patrol agents responded. There was a shootout. Ramos was killed. Parents gathered nearby for a sickening wait.
I'm looking for my daughter. I mean, after the shooting, they don't know where she's at. I mean, the list, her name is not here.
Students were only 2 days away from their summer break. Now another American community is grieving.
My heart was broken today. We're a small community, and we'll need your prayers to get us through this.
A nation once more despairing.
I'd hoped when I became president, I would not have to do this again. Another massacre.
And the world watching in disbelief.
I speak for the government, and I think I speak for every Australian when I say our hearts go out to you who've been impacted by this, the families of those beautiful little kids. And their teacher, the souls lost to another senseless act of gun violence in the United States.
US President Joe Biden drawing on his own personal loss to console shattered families.
Parents who will never see their child again, never have them jump in bed and cuddle with them. To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away.
It's the deadliest school shooting since the Sandy Hook massacre in 2012, when 20 children aged 6 and 7 were murdered in Connecticut. Joe Biden was vice president then. A decade on, the nation's gun culture remains unchanged.
Why are we willing to live with this carnage? Why do we keep letting this happen?
A question all Americans will be asking tonight, none more so than the parents who took their children to school this morning, not knowing they would never hug them again.
Ooh, it wasn't that graphic, but it was heartfelt and very emotional. It was very emotional.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So
And
I was
Go
just going to
ahead.
say really quickly, this, not to sound insensitive, and what's there for me is the gunman was shot and killed. When it comes to Buffalo, when it comes to a lot of he was a brown person, and I am not justifying what he did at all. And he was shot and killed. It's like when we start looking at these different cases, if a brown person or a black person commits such a heinous crime, they're shot and killed. But why?
And they'll give 1,000,001 reasons why they had to shoot him. They'll say he was belligerent. And it's just weird to me, of course there's the conspiracy theorists who are saying okay, every time y'all want to put up gun control on the ballot, this is what's happening. And it seems like it's around the same time. And it's just so weird, but it doesn't take away from the little kids that are not sitting at the dinner table tonight.
Right.
Like that's the most important part. And it's just like, wow, for it to be the circumstances that it was, to be a fully Hispanic community and be a Hispanic man to do it. And I don't know, it's just a lot. I can't imagine the hurt. I can't imagine the heartbreak. And to know that it could have all been avoided, that
Yeah.
the signs were probably there, that, it could have taken a phone call or just a little extra diligence to see what this kid was up to in order to save 19 precious children. Like, that's a lot of kids.
And can we also deal with the fact that they didn't say that they called the police, they called the border police?
Yeah, so they said that Border Patrol, one of the tactic sergeants or something from Border Patrol happened to be there. He was off duty.
Okay.
And he happened to be around the corner or something.
I'm
So
just
the
trying to
story
understand why border
goes, how he
control was
get there,
called
yeah.
on a
He was
predominantly
there.
Hispanic community.
Right. Which can
like, I'm
just
always
create, I mean, besides the fact that it's a terrible event and that I can't imagine how they were feeling, especially not knowing where their children were.
Right.
And then to see that also, you know what I'm saying? To see that type of presence, I'm sure that was just added to the disheartening event. Like that, the trauma that comes along with that. That's what we have to talk about, because we oftentimes do not. We don't talk about the trauma that it takes to exist in this country. We're supposed to be, it's the United States. People are literally risking their lives daily, Chantaye, to be in a country like this. So they think. You know what I mean? It was just like the guy that was murdered by the police in Minnesota, I believe, or Milwaukee. His parents were foreign and they came as refugees. And they said, I was told that this country was safe. I was told that we won't have to risk our lives. I was told that it was going to be better and that everything was going to be okay. And the very people that are supposed to be keeping us safe, the places that we're supposed to feel protected, are the places that we don't come home from. It's very interesting. The United States, I don't know. It takes a lot. I can't imagine how Joe Biden feels if he has, if he is true to what he says. I can't imagine, because it's like, what are you guys doing? What are we really doing? Where is the money going? Why do you have all of this? There are people who like we always say, there's people who get time for traffic stops sooner than we get these type of people off of the street or the help that they need.
Yeah. But even in getting the help that they need, it's like, what do we do with the gun laws? I'm one of those people who, I'm not, like, I don't understand what you need an assault rifle for at 18,
right?
And you're not going to war. So things like that, can't quite fathom that. And I grew up around guns. I've never fired a gun. And we had a whole gun closet. We had every kind of gun that you could imagine in the gun closet. We had pistols. We had 9mm. We had handguns. We had shotguns. I grew up, my grandparents owned a farm. So they hunted. So there was guns. And then my grandmother would just tote a pistol just because she liked toting her little 350.
As every grandmother should.
Yeah, with her Bacardi around and her pistol. So, go ahead, Nique.
No, go ahead. You were saying.
I was just saying, I just don't understand, like, how do we progress through this? And there I go, I'm mute.
But it makes sense, because, like, the point that you made about an 18-year-old purchasing an assault rifle, like, make it make sense. Okay, so you needed a handgun. You can't clear a classroom with a handgun. Not in 5 minutes, you can't. You know what I mean? Say you needed a little pistol for protection or whatever you may need. Make it make sense. Like, I'm not saying that you have to take guns off of off of the shelves. I do believe in that civil liberty to be able to have what you need to protect yourself, however you feel the need to protect yourself, but make it make sense. That's all they have to do, is make it make sense. If you're coming in for an assault rifle and you can tell us exactly why you need an assault rifle and it makes sense, then okay. They can devise laws. They make other laws super specific. They can devise laws to make us safer, to keep us safe, because this doesn't make sense.
Well, I can say this, Juneteenth, I am going to be surrounded by lots of guns. I'll be with the New Black Panther Party, and we'll be marching and rallying around Natchez, Mississippi, where a lot of people were murdered and hung. And there's already threats of them not wanting us there. And I've just been told that I'll be safe, and I won't have anything on me, but there will be people around me who are heavily armed to keep me safe.
Yeah. Side note, Nique doesn't do Mississippi. As a whole
I want to know why?
I've decided to
I don't do Buckhead. Buckhead is a sketchy neighborhood to me from my first experience of living in Buckhead.
I don't do Mississippi. I don't know. I don't, ever since Bull Connor in the 60s, I think maybe in a past life I had a bad experience in Mississippi, but every time I've had the opportunity to go, it's been a smooth pass. I got accepted in Mississippi State. I was gonna go to Ole Miss. And it was just a smooth pass. Maybe, I don't know. I don't do Mississippi, but that's great though. That you guys are you guys gonna be rallying, or is it like a party, like a cookout?
No, we're gonna be rallying and party cookout. Okay. I'll be there. Okay. We're gonna do that Friday, Juneteenth here in Atlanta. That Friday, and I have something to do then. And then that Saturday and Sunday we'll definitely
be making some noise,
getting in some good
trouble.
My kids will be safely tucked away. When I do things like that, I make sure that my kids are in a safe space, just in case I go to jail. Like I have dead docketed criminal. What's my charge? Terroristic threat. I got a dead docketed terroristic threat charge. So
so stay out of the way. We want to see you. We want to see you here the Wednesday after Juneteenth, Chantaye.
I'll be here the Wednesday after Juneteenth.
Telling us all about the unjustness that you were rallying for.
Yeah,
the unjustness.
We're just making sure that the people who were hung and killed in that area, that there's some justice around their lives. People don't talk about that. People don't talk about how when you go to jail and you die, how your body is now property of the state. People aren't having those kinds of conversations, or the county, or wherever you died at. You belong to the jail. People aren't talking about how, as an inmate, when you're incarcerated, how they bond you. And people aren't talking about how slavery is still on the books because of the 13th Amendment. So it's throughout the South. Who was I talking to today that said, what was it about Texas? I don't even remember who I was talking to. It might have been yesterday. I've been talking to so many people and been working so much. I realized when you were talking about that trauma, I realized I've had some things going on lately that's had my anxiety at an all-time high. And it's been expressing itself as me stuffing, whether it's picking up weird things to eat and just eating all the time, or whether it's, Nique, every time you come off camera, it takes me off camera too. Let me see something. See? I haven't touched anything.
I can still see you when I'm off.
Really? I can't. Let's see if this will do it. Okay. But yeah. So I've been stuffing, and with that trauma piece, I've been trauma bonding, and I've been working. I've been busy. I've been having to do something. I've been twitching, but I've been busy. I'm up at.
It's very important. It's very important to stay grounded, or attempt to you know, in times like this, especially with people like us and people like activists, people who are advocating for these type of things, even lawyers and senators and everybody involved in stuff like this, you know. It's like even just the regular people that are watching this over and over, week after week, people losing their lives. That is all trauma. When you feel scared to go outside because you're not quite sure if your neighbor's going to shoot you, or you're not quite sure if you're going to get arrested, that is all trauma. So it's very important for each and every person to kind of, you know, dig within and kind of gather a self sense of peace and try to hold on to that. Try to hold on to that hope that, like, somehow, some way, things are going to progress and things are going to get better, and somehow this is going to shine light on a situation and create positivity.
Yeah. See, for me, my only statement to that will be, with me running for city council, anytime you run for a public, like an elected official, if you are a celebrity, if you even take on any public position, you give up your right to privacy.
Right.
So some of the stuff that I've been encountering, it's really been messing with my anxiety, but I also know that I gave up my right to privacy when I ran for city council, which is real messed up. I didn't even win. Like, I didn't win. I don't have any privacy. And, you know, I think about, it's just led me to really think about the state of the world. Like, what kind of world do we live in where we don't even have privacy on our phones anyways, because it's okay for the government to tap the phones, but we can't send our kids to school safely. Like, those kids were at school minding their own business. This kid posted on social media to a stranger. One of the little girls died calling 911. The same thing in Buffalo. You know, when the 911 operator hung up the phone. So
it's like, who are we? I remember there was a I can even play that clip. I have that clip loaded actually.
Okay.
I believe it's a senator. I don't know his name, so I won't quote that, but you'll see in the clip. I'm gonna share it real quick.
Okay. And while you're queuing that up, I just wanted to say, like, as a society, we have to go back to the village mentality. We have to start looking out for each other. We have to put, you know, like, there's a level of self-care and there's a level of not being so selfish and working together and collaborating and things like that. But this gun violence,
if you see something, say something.
I don't agree with that.
In the sense of something like this, like, honestly, Chantaye, if I saw someone on my timeline or something that's like posting assault rifles and it's like, oh, schools are looking great today, like, I'm not just gonna be like, oh wow, I wonder what he's gonna do with that. Like, you know, you have to do, I mean, snitching is snitching, that's just crazy. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to a matter of, you could be saving thousands of lives, like,
you could be saving thousands of lives snitching too.
But
and
sometimes
when it comes to that situation, or someone posting on my timeline assault rifles, I mean, people post on my timeline assault rifles.
What I'm saying is, sometimes it's quite obvious that something's not right. And I'm not saying that you have to call law enforcement, but what I'm saying is, something you
what
can,
you
even
gonna do if you don't call law enforcement, you're gonna turn into Wonder Woman and
no, but you don't have to be the one, you know what I mean? Like, if you see your neighbor being weird, you can say something to his brother, like, hey, you know, I seen your brother eating cats back there, you know, he might be a serial killer.
I'm calling the police, because if I tell your brother, I might be the next meal. I'm lunch. I'm lunch. He just went from having breakfast to now I'm lunch. I ain't even a snack. I got some thick thighs. He's saying some turkey wings for that man. You know, so it's like, nah. If I see something like that, I'm gonna call the police. That's the right thing. Now,
whatever your matter of diligence is, or vigilance, or whatever you decide. I'm not an advocate for snitching. That's not what I'm doing at all. But what I am saying is, you know, we have to, like Chantaye said, take the security of our community seriously and kind of take a sense of leadership, whatever that means to you.
But it could be community policing, where it looks like us coming together, like, as a group. Like, why, hey man, why you eating that dog? Do we need to 1013 you? Like, oh, cat, you said cat. You know, like, it might be a conversation to be had.
She said, "Do we need to 1013?"
Yeah, do we need to call the paramedic and have them come out?
Yeah, we gotta figure something out.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go to this clip real quick, and I'm gonna is my screen sharing? Yeah, right. You see it, Chantaye?
I just added it to the stream. It wasn't sharing before. You're gonna have to rewind it.
Okay, no, I was gonna play it from right here.
Okay, I'm muting.
Okay, I just wanted to show you the senator part, what he said.
Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, who represented Newtown's district in Congress, occurred tonight, giving an impassioned speech from the Senate floor.
What are we doing? Our kids are living in fear every single time they set foot in a classroom because they think they're going to be next. What are we doing? Nowhere else does that happen except here in the United States of America, and it is a choice. It is our choice to let it continue. What are we doing?
It's become a sobering, shattering reality in this country.
So I think he was making pretty, he was emotional, but I think he made a good point. Like, what are y'all doing? Because I want to know too.
Yeah, he was actually, I saw another clip with him where he was like, what is it gonna take for y'all? Do I need to get on my hands and knees and beg for y'all to change the gun laws? Like he is, yeah. And then there were two Republicans that they cited, and I don't even want to go there because people are always like, oh, the Republican said, but guess what? There's some Democrats who said too. So it's like we have to start holding all these people to account. Black, white, pink, purple, polka dot, Republican, Democrat, independents. Like when you were running for office, what did you say? What was your platform?
Right.
What did you say you were going to do?
Absolutely.
Now that your ass is in the seat, what are you saying that you're going to do? Why haven't you done it? Because at this point, this is an elections year. This is 2022, and it's an election year. So what that looks like is some of these people may not have their positions at the end of the year. And we have to hold them to account. Like, what did you say that you were going to do? Period.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because they say a lot. And you telling me that that they're able to switch sides after
Yeah,
that, it just makes
Georgia.
I've learned a lot.
We blew. Yeah, right.
I've learned a lot about the lack of system in this country. Like the fact that they even call it a system is baffling because there's absolutely nothing systematic about it. Like in reality, there's
systemic racism.
Well, yes, exactly. That's really the only thing that's consistent.
There's slavery. There's systemic slavery. There's a need to break up the family. There's systemic
oppression. Yeah, oppression in general is the only consistent theme. Like everything else is pretty, you know what I mean? Like you guys are all over the place. Like you're yelling gun control, but it takes 15 years to get gun control under. Like Columbine happened when I was in 3rd grade, I believe. I was in elementary school when Columbine happened. And that was the first mass shooting out of high school. And it was terrifying. We were on lockdown for a week because they just didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know what was happening until they found out, of course that was back in the day. So it took a little while to figure out what was going on. But I just feel like that we've had time to figure out ways to stop this from happening. And even for a little while after that, remember there was like, there were metal detectors in all the schools. There was security. There was all of this and all of that. And then now,
my teacher went to jail for marijuana.
A kid can just get into an accident down the street, run into the school. That happened to me when I was in middle school, actually. I went to Freedom Middle School, and when we were in 6th grade, this kid stole a car, attempted to rob something that failed, and then drove to school. He went to our school. He drove to school, which was horrible because then that's a whole another level of felonies. He drove to the school with his firearm, somebody's dad's firearm, and hid in the janitor's closet.
Wow.
So we had this huge lockdown because this fool decided to come to school after he tried to rob the gas station or something. I don't know. But, you know, it was, again, terrifying because we didn't know what was going on. So the SWAT team is like running down the hallway with dogs and we're like freaking out, you know? And it's like, how does it keep getting to this point? Like, why haven't we gotten to the point where, I mean, at least protect the kids. If you're going to put the budget towards something, let's protect the kids.
Well, let me say this. I'm 42. I'll be 43. I've been out of high school since 1997. We are at our 25th class reunion this year. And for me, when I was growing up, I remember Columbine because we were on lockdown. I remember the metal detectors. I remember the on-campus police officers. I remember the dogs. I remember the dogs because my history teacher, whose class I was in during one of the lockdowns, was teacher of the year, and she lost her whole career because they found that she was packing her pipe with marijuana. And well, they thought that they found marijuana in her car. It was supposedly her son. She said it was hers or whatever, so that her son wasn't expelled from school. Whatever happened, they found marijuana. Then when I was in school at one of our neighboring school, Jenkins, there was a teenager that was shot and murdered. At my school, we had Ramel Whipple, rest in peace, who was actually my ex's neighbor and childhood friend who got shot in the head. And this stuff was normal. No, I don't think it was at school, but it was impacted by school. The other guy at Jenkins got shot at school and killed at school. He supposedly was bullying someone, and he was a football player, track star, and all of those things. And the kid murdered him at school. We had bomb threats in my school, and I went to a fairly upper middle class school. So this isn't like we were sitting in the heart.
Like y'all were in the urban area.
Yeah.
I mean, I was, but
my middle school was, girl, that first day of school, watching those two girls fight, and that girl bite that plug out that girl face. I was like, oh, hell no, we gonna have to fight. Yeah, it was real. You know, I went to a very lily Caucasian school in Michigan where I was the only black girl in my grade, and then my first day of school there was about 20 white kids in the whole school. I was like,
that's more than was at all three of my schools combined, elementary, middle, and high. We really did not. Even we had Europeans because we were in Clarkston, but we didn't have any Caucasians. Yeah, we didn't have any Caucasians. I didn't interact with Caucasians until college.
I think that's going to be Bryce's experience because this high school that he's at now is fairly diverse. But
the fact that schools aren't safe
they're not. It's scary. It's scary sending your child to school. You know, between that's the grocery store. Our elders can't go to the grocery store now. Our kids can't go to school. And we have no anti-hate bill. People of color. Like, why did they have to specify Asians instead of people of color? Acts of terrorism, people of color. Like, when is it going to stop?
I just think it's really interesting. I want to know. I'm interested to see, not because this is going to justify anything, but I am interested to see if there was some, like, if they're going to dig up some manifest or something, or like some reasoning behind his motivation. Like, why? You didn't even shoot up your own school. Like, this is weird. Like, I don't know. I feel like this might have been influenced. You know what I mean? Like, this case seems like a copycat type of thing. Like, he felt like, oh, these people are going out and shooting up stuff. I can do that too. Like, you know, I don't know.
That's that degree at work.
I'm like, what are you doing? Where's the reasoning behind it? I just don't get it. I feel like his grandmother might have realized, like, hey, why are you going outside with 2 assault rifles in the middle of the day? What's going on?
No, he was actually in his room with the assault rifles and had posted to the stranger social media that something's gonna happen today. I feel like it was something. And then he went into the living room and shot his grandmother. So grandma didn't see the guns coming. He shot her in the head. And she lived, and she went to the neighbor's house and called the police. And that's what kind of started everything. That's probably why I'm going to assume that's why the truck sped out of place because grandma had called the police to let them know that she was shot in the head. And when grandma got shot in the head, she's in critical condition now.
Right.
She lived.
Bless her soul.
I mean,
yeah,
this whole
I'm
situation is
interested
just sad.
because of how how Gendron's parents came out and was like, if he wasn't stuck in the room on social media during COVID, then he'd be fine, or whatever they said. I'm just interested to see where this is gonna go.
Was that like your country hit version? What was that? What was that slang?
That was how
King of the Hill. That was your King of the Hill.
That's like how serial killer moms talk.
That's your degree speaking. That's your degree speaking. That's that
But
degree.
I'm interested because I want to know. I really do. I really would like to know, like, the psychology behind it. Like, what were you thinking? Because this is 19 kids. What's the thought process? Like, what? I'm almost like, of course, I've heard the conspiracies, and I'm like, okay, that's a lot. But I'm really interested to hear the truth. I am. I don't think that it's going to be justified at all. I would love, I mean, to see how the court case plays out, because this is not, I know he's not the first brown person to commit a mass shooting. I know he's not the first, but he is the first to commit a mass shooting on an elementary school. So these are kids. So this is like capital murder. So he's in Texas.
Oh,
so that means he's facing a firing. Oh yeah, I forgot.
They murdered him, which is what I was saying. Like, if he was,
they never gave him a net chance, right?
No, they didn't. And this is the second worst school shooting behind Sandy Hook, which was also during Biden's administration when he was vice president for Obama.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're talking about that, why is there a $1 trillion budget for the police and no money for COVID? And while we're talking about that, why does the Bush family and Dick Cheney own Halliburton, which everybody that I know is always happy when they get a contract from Halliburton because they give them lots of money. But we have that issue with the fact that Halliburton controls the guns, the bullets. Well, not the guns, but the bullets, the boots that soldiers wear, the communication. When you call one of your loved ones from war, that's who makes the money. So it's like we send these brown and black people in lower class. Every now and again, you get someone who's Caucasian who comes from one of the elected officials or something like that. But usually on a higher affluent scale, they're not the ones going to war. They don't even think about it. The military has been an out for a lot of people in a lot of situations. And what do we think about the fact that a lot of these elected officials benefit off of war, and they benefit off of these privatized prisons, and they benefit off of these slave states? The South is full of slave states and these antiquated slave laws. And unless we impact public policy, none of this is going to change. Everyone has to join some kind of social group. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if it's a knitting club, and start having conversations with someone who doesn't look like you. Like, I was at a Rotary Club meeting this morning, and that man told me he had one of the people who was speaking there said he had a halfway house, and he was the son of a preacher, and he's from the South, and his halfway house was in 1974, I want to say he told me. And when I was talking to him about black on black crime, he said, well, what we would do, I don't know how we went from black on black crime to child support, but he said, well, what we would do is we'd send them, I was a volunteer probation officer, and I'd send them to the halfway house, and we'd keep their check and pay off the child support. Then they could go visit their kids on the weekend. Right.
What?
That's what he told me this morning. I was sitting there like, you should call me. I was like, I'm going to call you. I'm going to call him for real. We're going to have more conversation about that. But that's
yes, for sure. Because I have questions.
But it's like, is that justified or not? Because it's like sometimes to give people the benefit of the doubt, if we don't stop killing each other, if we don't stop stepping on each other, if we don't stop with all of this brown on black, black on brown, brown, black, all of this people of color violence, you know, in reality, we sit there and we hate the people who are, you know, they want to say the Arabs. I'll say the people from the Middle East. We hate people from the Middle East. And we shouldn't. Not saying that they don't act a certain way in some places, but if you talk to the average citizen, they can't tell the difference between someone from the Middle East and a black person. If you talk to someone
or somebody from the West Indies,
or someone
who's
right,
or someone who's from New York and just Muslim.
All you have to do is have some color and some pigmentation. And guess what? If you're too light in South America, if you're from South America somewhere and you're too light, we can't tell the difference. Like, oh, that's a white person. And it's like, have a conversation with them. That is so not a white person. It's a white Hispanic. It's a white Spanish person. You know, so it's like, have those conversations. We have to start having cross-cultural dialogue if we're going to stop all of this killing.
Absolutely. Because to be honest, like, we all have the same oppressor. I mean,
we do.
Let's just be real. And this is not to say don't talk to white people. That's not it at all. It's just that we all have the same, even white people, because it's more classism. I don't want to say it's more classism than racism, because I don't believe that. However, I do feel that classism is another important you know what I'm saying, active prejudice in this country. So I feel like I said, we all have the same oppressor. So we have that commonality. We have enough. I mean, besides the fact that we're human and we have a sense of humanity, or at least we should, we have that commonality. And if we have the humanity along with the commonality, we should all see that what's being done isn't enough and more needs to be done. So if you have the problem, if you know the problem, at least attempt to be a part of the solution, whatever that might look like for you. I know everybody isn't an advocate. Everybody can't be, you know, out and rallying. Everybody doesn't want to be an elected official. And I get that. That isn't for everybody, but everybody plays a role as a citizen or as a resident in this country. And you can not vote. You can not participate. You can not do anything, but your kids still aren't going to be safe at school.
Right. And what was I going to say? I forgot. I was like, and I had a good point too. I don't forgot. Oh, it must not have been that important. But the whole, and you're right.
It's all about doing something. It's all about doing something. Something. Like I said, whatever it looks like for you, we're definitely advocates for doers. Like, do something, because if this is the first time you're hearing this, if you need a sign, this is your sign to do whatever you feel is necessary to make a difference in your community. Whether you're just helping the people that's struggling, or you know, whatever it looks like to you, to spread love and to kind of change the way the world is going, because we see where it's going. You know, anything that anyone can do, I feel like, you know, it's your human responsibility to do it. We're all here. We're all residents of the same earth.
Somewhat.
That's the end of my speech.
Somewhat. You know, like I've started becoming, you know, like if I went too biblical, it's like don't be weary and well doing. But I'm starting to get weary. You know, like
God loves a cheerful giver. But if you ain't cheerful,
he better take some. God better reference my cheerleading days in high school.
Please see year 92 through 96.
97, girl. 97 that's the year I came out. But no, seriously, like, because some of these people done lost their minds, and I say that wholeheartedly, living as a person with mental health, like, well, you know, like.
Oh, I know. It's interesting. Yeah. Life is interesting.
Like, we being extorted now for money, for real? Because I'm generous? Because I'm kind? Like, I'm ruthless and cold-hearted too. Don't forget the bipolar. But it's like, I don't know if I even choose to be that person anymore. And that's the thing. Like, I think that goes back to what you were talking about earlier when you were saying, do these people utilize the conversation of mental health to get them out of situations? Like, because I'm so conscious and aware and woke to my own self and my own mental health, I no longer choose to go down that rabbit hole. Sometimes it's easier, like,
Absolutely.
now let me sit here and work this budget and cook dinner every day and figure out
Yeah.
ways to cut costs.
And that's an important conversation because, like you said, like a psychotic break is a psychotic break. So that's not what we're referring to, but we are referring to when you knowingly have something going on. You know what I mean? Like, I knowingly have anxiety. I knowingly have postpartum disorder, depression. Those are things that I knew and things that I mean, of course, it was probably easier for me because I have an entire psych degree. So there was understandings that I had with my synapses. But, I feel like it does take a person to kind of separate self from your thoughts.
Yeah.
Have that power to, and of course this probably takes a little bit of guidance and therapy in itself, or acknowledgement and awareness in itself, but just make an effort. I would just say everybody should definitely make an effort.
You know what though, because I believe that although they say that there's no cure for mental health, it's a chemical imbalance. So if you can do anything to be imbalanced chemically, you can do something to be balanced chemically. And inside of that chemical quote unquote imbalance, I believe that mental health can be cured inside of a conversation. And what that looks like is you see someone with a gun, somewhere in there's a police officer able to talk them to put that gun down. So somewhere inside of that break, someone was able to talk some sanity to someone that was just deemed insane.
Absolutely.
So how can we act as if everybody who lives with mental health is lost? And how can we sit there and have people where they keep working the system inside of this stigma of mental health? Like, we have to stop making it seem like we're enabling. And here's a fact: people who live with mental health are more likely to be victims of crime than people who don't live with mental health. So as people think that it's those with mental health diagnosis, it's these people who don't have the mental health diagnosis. And that's usually because they're not diagnosed. I believe that everyone in the world suffers from some level of mental health. Like, I look back, it is so not natural to sit there and be depressed, sad, whatever, and go to the mall and buy 5 and 6 pair of shoes. I don't do this anymore. But back in my day, I might be like, oh, I'm having a bad day, and go to the mall and buy 6 pair of shoes. That's excessive compulsive.
People's obsession with America's obsession with violence, America's obsession with sex, America's obsession with you know what I mean? These are low vibrational things. I won't get metaphysical, but these are low vibrational things. Like, obviously there's a level of trauma that comes with existing on the earth plane alone, but specifically in this country, because we are exposed to a lot of things before a lot of other people. I can say
that it's just that as much as it is the environmental toxins.
No, definitely.
Chemical imbalance, because we have all of these buildings, and you look at the crime rate in major cities as opposed to rural areas. In rural areas, it may be a little more violent sometimes, but when we have all of this toxicity, that's why it's so difficult to not treat the chemical imbalance with medication, because of all of the toxins in the air.
And trauma also creates a chemical imbalance, because what your mind does, it makes you feel safe. It does whatever it needs to make you feel safe. So if you're, you know what I'm saying? If you're in a situation, that's why people outright faint. Like, people don't understand that fainting is literally your body's reaction to feeling like it's safer for you to not be there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Your brain is literally shutting off. Like, all of those things there, I think it's a lot of unaddressed issues. Like you said, the environments, the toxins, the trauma, the everything. And America they took way too long to pay attention to psychology. They pretended that the human brain wasn't really a thing for a long time. They didn't consider it with laws, with rules, with education. They didn't consider psychology at all. So, it's a lot of things that could have been done differently.
But in being someone who's had 2 major psychotic breakdowns, and when I say major, I mean I go from managing multi-million-dollar accounts to being a homeless person who sleeps outside on the streets if I have a breakdown. That point of enlightenment is like no other. Like, it is a freedom that you can't imagine. It's peace, it's serenity. Like, you see those people walking down the streets talking to themselves, and they have more freedom and aliveness than what the normal person will ever experience. There's things that you see in that dark world that aren't what you see in this reality. It's like an entire different shift in being, shifting in
Your pineal
enlightenment,
gland.
in everything. And it's like, I see why people stop taking their meds. Like for me, I don't make money off meds. You know, I have to sleep outside, and I have to tolerate my mother sending me $50 or $100, and I'm a little too shallow and a little too vain for that kind of lifestyle. And I'm grateful that I have those things working in my favor, so that I know to get off my butt and go do what I need to do to make some coins. So it's like, but that freedom, you know, I tell everybody, when I'm in a mental health crisis, it's my excuse to be irresponsible. I don't have to be a mother. I don't have to be a sister. I don't have to be a daughter. I don't have to have any goals. I don't have to have responsibilities. I don't have to have people ask me for nothing.
You're light.
I'm able to just be.
You're light.
Yeah.
Literally light. And that's profound, because like I really, even with my psych degree, I really wholeheartedly believe that most mental quote unquote disorders are a misunderstanding of spirit. But next episode, right? but yes, I definitely that's profound. I'm gonna think on that, because I wonder what that is. Like, is that like the pineal gland is opening?
You got to read Marianne Williamson, Return to Love, where she talks about when she finally went off the deep end and gave herself permission to have a mental health breakdown. And that's when she found her point of freedom. You cannot embrace your light until you get comfortable with your dark. That's how I feel about it.
Absolutely.
So, on that,
yes, we went deep today, guys. I hope everybody got all those.
Like this.